welcome to a new episode from Bugle Battle Reports. Today, starting our brand new series during lockdown, which is What's On. So this is the first episode, and we're going to be discussing the FAQ that's recently dropped. So let's see who's joining us on the channel today.
So FAQ 2021 for January. We got George from Real Space Raiders.
Hello.
We got the Kano Khan, that fucker Paddy.
What's on?
Little old Never.
Are we doing explicit in this one, are we?
It's Bugle, mate. It's always explicit.
We don't swear on my podcast, so I'll just get out of the way now. Fucking bugger.
Let yourself go, George. Just go for it. Right, so should we start with the points change? So we'll start with Marines. So you got points increase on Outriders, Eradicators, and
Outriders. So Outriders, I know it was coming.
Yeah.
It's annoying because I haven't had a chance to use them yet.
So they're now 50 points a model.
Yeah, up by 5 points. It's not a great deal.
But if you're planning on running 9 of them, then.
But Paddy, is it as annoying as only being able to have them in units of 3 when Deathwatch can have them in units of 5?
Get fucked. To put it bluntly,
I think
yeah,
they do need to go up, in my opinion. Whereas, like the Braid Guard and Vanguard vets have stayed the same.
The Vanguard vets, I can understand them staying the same because they're Firstborn Marines. The Blade Guard, I did actually expect them to go up.
I thought Blade Guard would go up.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go up to like 40 points a model, because 35 points a model is really cheap for what they do. They pretty much work in every chapter, like as a decent combat unit. I don't understand why they didn't go up at all. The Eradicators going up, I don't think they went up enough, because it's not really going to hinder people from taking 3 squads of 5 of them, really, is it? 5 points a model. It's not really a lot, is it? Inceptors.
What they do, you know?
No, the Inceptors I'm annoyed at, actually, on the Inceptors. The fact that they made the base point go up by 5. It should the bolter ones weren't the issue, it was the plasma ones. So if any, they should have just made the plasma weapons 5 points more expensive. So make them 15 points as opposed to 10 points. Because now you're not going to ever see the bolter ones in any sort of competitive play, because the fact that they're just too expensive now for what they do.
We haven't seen many of this year, but
Sorry, the missus is printing something. If you can hear that in the background.
I feel like they could have waited for the points thing to increase as well.
Yeah.
Don't know why they did it so early. Like, no one's playing games unless.
It's not really early though, is it? Because they were meant to do this adjustment in December. They said they would do like points and mission adjustments and everything every December, but they've missed it because obviously it's COVID.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
COVID and the fact that 9th edition was so new. Right, hopefully that's done with printing. Right, yeah. So, with COVID, the fact that not many people playing games, and also the fact that you've got 9th edition being so new, I wasn't really expecting as much changes as what they did. I was thinking that they were just going to focus on a couple of units throughout each of the codexes, as opposed to overhauling on certain things. For instance, Drakari got a very good amount of points decreases, and
let's move on to Drakari, George.
Yeah, George.
Well, I think I'll just address the elephant in the room. I think we kind of, as a Drakari expert, we kind of expected it, but Hellions got nerfed. They were so broken. like ridiculous. You saw them in every list. They were winning tournaments all over the place. So they went from 15 points to 17 points. But other than that, it was pretty much point drops across the board. Sorry?
I still think they're cheap.
I didn't catch that, mate. You're going to say that again?
I said I still think they're too cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap for a 1 wound T3 model with a 5+ armor save. It's pretty darn cheap.
So
But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's pretty much point drops across the board. I think what GW have done really is kind of given us our codex update, well, the point version of our codex update early, because we probably should have had the codex release like sometime this month, but obviously everything's been pushed back.
I was actually expecting them to be at least previewed by now.
Yeah. So I think GW have just kind of given Dark Elder players a bit of a little bit of love just to kind of tide them over for a bit. But some of the point changes in the current codex, some of the point changes are just simply ridiculous. Like the racks in particular going to 8 points a model. And going up to max unit size 20 now. There used to be max unit size 10. But the reason that's crazy is because Prophets of Flesh racks are like one of the best troop choices in the game, I think, because they've got a 4+ armor, a 4+ invulnerable save, and feel no pain, and they've got a 2 CP like Tide of Traitors stratagem. So you remove the rack unit from the board, and it comes on any board edge within 6 inches of the board edge, like an outflank, and you replenish the unit back up to its maximum capacity. So if you've got units of racks that are 20 strong, so for 160 points, you can have 20 racks that can, like, board. They can move 7, advance D6, re-rolling because they're Dark Elder, then fire their Ossifactor because it's an assault weapon, fire and fade another 7. So they've got a threat range of like 21 inches to grab objectives. And then you've got to kill 20 of them. And if you leave even one alive for 2 CP, you get all 20 back. It's absolutely mental. For 160 points, are so strong.
Left players just stood in the corner like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't expect we'll keep that. Either they'll go up in points or we'll lose Tide of Traitor, or we'll lose the Black Cornucopians. That's just bonkers. And the other elephant in the room is the fact that Reavers went from 20 points to 10 points a model, which is just absolutely mental. Like
someone's going to get sacked.
Yeah, they're the same cost as a normal witch, which we think is a typo. I think pretty much everyone thinks is a typo. They got the points the wrong way around between Hellions and Reavers, because 17-point Reavers make a lot more sense than 10-point Reavers. Yeah, I mean, some really nice changes. Generally speaking, everything either stayed the same or got a little bit cheaper, and some things got significantly cheaper. So,
I think
with Dark Elder right now,
and Death Guard, it should be taken with like a pinch of salt, because they both got new codexes coming out.
Yeah,
stratagems getting changed, traits are getting changed, and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there are some like little hints in the way they've structured it. So all the selections for the Court of the Archon, it says unit size 1 to 10, I think it was, and then you pick which ones you want in that. So I think Court of the Archon is going to go back to a unit rather than individual models. So that's quite interesting. I'd like to see do the same sort of thing as what they've done with Company Command for Space Marines. So they're still separate units, but if your army contains an Archon, they don't take up a slot. They do that now, mate, but they're not. You don't take them as a unit. So each individual selection is its own choice. So you can take up to 3. They're like an independent character, but without the character keyword. So you can they're not characters, no. So that's why I can do actions and stuff with my little Erics that can run around and do little actions all over the place, because they're not characters; they're just individual single models. So yeah, I think Court of the Archon going to units would be quite good. But other than that, there's not really too much to discern from it. Ravagers went down by 5 points. Our Flyers went up. I think gameplay-wise, Say again?
Talos went up.
Flyers went up.
Yeah, the Flyers went up by a little bit. I think the Razor Wings went up by like 10 points, I think.
What, again?
Yeah, and the Void Raven went. It stayed the same cost, but you got to pay for its missiles again. So it went from like 185 to now it's like 195 if you want to take the missiles. But
Right.
I don't. Yeah, but they got better because of the changes to the core rules, which we might go into later when we talk about that. So. I think that's one of the biggest changes in the buffs to the Dark Elder is the core rules have benefited them quite significantly by the changes to the mission and the clarifications on things like open top vehicles and what flyers can do and things like that. So we can talk about that later. But yeah, generally speaking, as a Dark Elder player, I really wish we could be playing because you would see like 100 racks and 36 Reavers in basically every list because you can fit that in for just over 1,000 points, and then you've still got 1,000 points to play with for fitting in whatever the hell you want, like characters or incubi or ravagers, fly, all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely mental. The fact that I can have an army that's like 80 racks and 36 Reaver jet bikes and still have enough room for 9 Talos is pretty crazy. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty mental. Yeah.
Okay. So while we're on Alderi, let's move on to Harlequins.
Harlequins, I think that they are the king of the castle with this FAQ because they didn't take.
Ninth, mate.
Well, they're really good at killing space and elite armies, but I think that they struggle up against like pretty much any orc list. They'd struggle against a Nid horde. Like if I brought Nids to our last game, Martin, it would have been extremely tough for you because you wouldn't have been able to do much. And that's the problem with Harlequins is the meta that we're in, which is MSU meta. The Harlequins thrive in that because they're able to deal with those small units really effectively.
Yeah.
If then you're starting to bring like 20 to 30 man units, like a 5-6 man like troop unit isn't going to be able to deal with a 20 man Gaunt unit. They're gonna get tied up for 1 to 2 turns, and then they're just sat there while the rest of the army is just sat on objectives.
Yeah. But for Harlequins, the only change was the Void Weavers were down 10 points, which is the gunboats. Everything else has stayed the same.
I still don't think you'll see Void Weavers ever.
I play them. I play 2.
Nah, you're a lunatic.
You're an actual lunatic.
They did do fuck all, but
just spend more points on clowns, mate. Clowns and bikes. That's all you need.
Yes, that is the list.
Right, so then moving on to Nids, shall we go to, Paddy?
Yeah. Tyrannid's got a lot. So the Hive Tyrant went down 15 points. That's the Hive Tyrant with wings. So now he's 108. Tyrannid Warriors, though. Yeah, Tyrannid Warriors are now 17 points. They were 21 points.
17 points a warrior?
Yeah.
That's really good, mate.
I think it's 4 points on the base, and then it's obviously whatever weapons you take.
Yeah. So it's 17 points base, and then all the weapon options are pretty much the same. There's one that I'll come to in a minute, which I think is hilarious.
So what I've got Warriors were down 4 points. Hive Guard went down 5 points.
Yeah.
The Tyrannofex went down 20 points. And Zone Boats went up 15.
What about has the Acid Fex gone down then, is he?
That's
the base model.
Base of Tyrannofex has gone down.
Yeah, so how much is it with that acid spray that's like so good?
175 points.
Well, it's better. I still think it needs to be cheaper.
Yeah, it needs to be cheaper or given back its 2-up armor. One of the two.
Mm.
The other noticeable changes, Raveners went down 2 points. They're 20 points a model. Screamer Killers. Now,
I love Screamer Killers.
yeah, the problem is now they were 105 points plus upgrades. Now 120 points plus upgrades.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I do really like, because they're now cheaper than they've been since like 4th edition, is the Devil Gaunts, because originally they were 8 points a model or 9 points a model. They're now 7 points a model.
What,
Devil
with
Gaunts,
with the gun?
with the Devourer are 7 points each.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
That's really
potentially
good.
from a 30-man unit, shooting twice in Cronus, that's 180 shots, re-rolling ones to hit, hitting on 4s.
Yeah, that's really good. Can't they get re-rolls if they're near a what's he called?
Oh, if they're
Turbogun.
I think it only works for the no, because they Tyranids don't give like re-rolls for their characters. It tends to be like a unit gets buffed the bigger they are. So Hormagaunts, for instance, if they're a unit of 20 more, they get to re-roll ones to wound in combat. Gene Stealers get +1 to hit if they are more than a 10-man squad. Termagaunts, I'm pretty sure it only works for the Flesh Borers, but I could be wrong. If they're a 20-man unit, they get to re-roll ones to wound.
Okay.
If it works for Devourers, then that's 180 shots, re-rolling ones to hit, re-rolling ones to wound, hitting on a 4+. That's with strength 4, known minus assault weapons. One of the other things as well, the Lash Weapon Monstrous Bone Sword is now 10 points, was 15. Twin Bone Swords are now 10 points. Monstrous Twin Bone Swords, should I say, are now 10 points as opposed to 20. And Monstrous Scything Talons have gone down 5 points for Carnifexes.
That's cool.
Yeah. So all in all, my list hasn't changed because the 5 points that are up on the zone throats are mitigated by the Hive Guard. So it doesn't change. So yeah. All in all, the only FAQ that they got, I'm annoyed because I didn't think about doing it beforehand. Spore Mines now can't perform actions.
What do you mean? What do you mean they can't? They got those little tentacles. They got those little tentacles. Yeah. They can easily press buttons and stuff.
They can't raise banners or anything like that, unfortunately. So
how you're telling me that a Spore Mine can't deploy a Scrambler? You're crazy.
I know, right?
Shame that.
That's all variants of Spore Mines because it's an add-on to the Living Bomb rule. It's also got a Crusade rule where they can't get things like death perks and stuff like that when they die in a Crusade.
We're seeing GW do that with quite a few units. Like Death Company got it, didn't they? Where they can't do any actions because they're too angry.
Yeah, I think the Death Company and Space Wolves units, they got the Rage or Celestial Rage or something like that.
The Fenridian Wolves and stuff.
Yeah, Wolfman can't do actions either. I don't think Blood Claws can't either.
Oh, R.I.P. Wolfman.
Well, they can't do actions.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Wolfen got battered with the nerf bat, mate.
They get the attacks and stuff like that, so it makes up for it, really.
Blood Claws can't. That's just madness.
I'm pretty sure they got this still rage or something like that.
No, Blood Claws can.
I would check on it.
Blood Claws can, mate. It's just Wolfen and the Fenridian Wolves and Cyber Wolves that can't, and Servitors if they still exist. I don't even know if they do exist anymore.
So yeah, that's essentially the Tyranids. So I'm happy with the changes, to be honest. I still don't think you'll see things like Flyrants and stuff like that in competitive builds, only because it's so easy just to one-shot them with one squad. It's yeah, you're not really going to see them.
Sorry to take a bit of a negative note, mate. Didn't the Broodlord go up by a pretty painful amount?
No, Broodlord stayed the same.
I did it. I thought it went from like 80 to 120 or something.
He's always been 125 or 35, one of the two.
Was he? I thought he was dirt cheap. I thought that's why you saw him everywhere, because he was really good for his points.
He is really good for his points. 125 points.
Oh, I thought he was. I thought he was sub 100. Honestly, yeah.
Because he's weapon skill 2, strength 5, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 10, save 4 up, 5 up in Vol, can advance and charge, and has monstrous rending claws, which allow you to roll the wound rolls.
I know what he does, mate. I've killed and been killed by that thing enough times to know what it does.
Yeah, just for the viewers, to be honest. All in all, I'm quite chuffed with the Tyranid FAQ, to be quite honest. We didn't get hit by a nerf bat. Zone throats were too cheap, really. 40 points for a 3 up involved. Yeah.
I think you can take the hit to your zone throats because your Hive Guard got cheaper, and Hive Guard were already good. Like
35 points now for the Shock Guard, which I think is hilarious.
Hive Guard.
Hive Guard.
I hate the psychics.
But then I've been using Barbie lately, though, haven't I? So
he's just as nasty.
He's the only thing for Tyranids now with the 2-up armor.
Oh.
I know, right? Oh.
That's sympathy for me, man. It's right. So let's move on to Necrons. Only 2 things changed to them. The Reanimator, most pointless model, it's gone down to 90 points, dropped for 30. Looks cool, still not getting play one.
Yeah, they do.
Just go back to just get shot off the table. And the Nightbringer went up 20 points, so it's now 370.
It's understandable.
Yeah, but just everybody decided to go out and buy one. Got on the table.
He is Gilliman sort of level of strong. So...
Nightbringer is one of those weird models that if against certain armies he can't be killed. Like he just tears apart certain armies. He's a hard counter to things like
Tau can't kill.
Tau can't touch him. I would argue even Blood Angels struggle to kill him because he counters everything they have that makes them good. Because they're so heavily active in the assault phase, and if you get into combat with him, he just picks up units on his own. And they can't kill him in one phase. So I think Nightbringer going up is understandable. I think he's very, very good, and I still think you'll see him in lists for that amount, for that point cost, because he's such a threat. You throw him in the middle of the board after you do that pre-game move, or the pre-turn 1 move, and move him up in advance, and he's just in the middle of the board, just being a bully, basically. So yeah, I think it's really good.
So next army you got Custodes, which I pay, and the bikes have gone down 10 points each.
Yeah, pretty good. That's really good.
Bear in mind, like I pay 9 bikes, so that's 90 point drop in that list.
That's like a whole Terminator.
Yeah. In other words, you get the banner for free.
Yeah. Banner for free.
Toby's not here, but Imperial Guard, the troops went up.
Yeah, that's really cruel. I mean, Met Guard, normal infantry squads went up to 5 points a unit.
Oh, what are they doing?
There's now 55 points for squad.
But Chimera now 5 points. So you could go like full mechanized guard and chuck like 10-man infantry squads in Chimeras, and they have essentially, you haven't gained or lost anything. Yeah. But yeah, 5 points on the unit is pretty.
David,
I would do that though. I expect you to see that with guard and more with the changes to bring it down. I think you'll see more mechanized lists.
Yeah.
And then
The Chimeras went down 10 points. The Lehman Russ went down 5 points. Tank Commanders went up 5, so balance yourself back up. And Baldwin went down 7 points if you have the mauls on them.
Yeah, that's with the maul. They didn't need touching. That's the thing that got me with the Bullgrin, is the fact that they didn't need anything doing to them. They were like the perfect points cost for what they did. And they just gone, yeah, fuck it. Let's just make it cheaper. Why not? Yeah, they didn't need to do anything to them, but they did. Hey ho. God, got to have some sort of love because they got shafted.
Yeah.
I think that's about points changes, unless any of you guys got anything you would raise.
What FAQs popped up for Jakari George? Anything or no?
Oh yeah, actually, they so in as far as Codex specific, there was one addendum in the Phoenix Rising FAQ that clarified what's it called? Dark Technomancers. So now it's they've amended the wording. So it's if a unit fires the gun as overcharge. So for those of you watching that don't know, Dark Technomancer is one of the more popular Dark Elder choices now from Phoenix Rising. So what it does is it's one of the obsessions you can choose from the custom obsessions. And when a model with this obsession is firing a gun, it can choose to overcharge that gun. If it does so, that gun gets +1 to wound and +1 damage, which is exceptionally good. The wording in the book was if you roll a 1 to wound, then you take a mortal wound. The firing model takes a mortal wound. They've now changed that to basically the same, but the way it worked before was if you rolled any number of 1s for that attack, you would only take 1 mortal wound, and it was the firing model that took it. They've now changed it to the unit takes the mortal wound, which is a buff, because that means if you have like a unit of racks with 1 liquefier in, if you rolls a 1, then you can kill one of the racks that hasn't got the liquefier gun. But it's any 1s, so it's if you roll 2 1s, you take 2 mortal wounds, and so on and so forth. So it's actually I wouldn't say it killed Dark Technomancer, but that is quite painful, particularly when you used to see it a lot on Venoms to make their Venoms wound on 3s and flat 2 damage. But when you're firing like 10 to 12 shots of Venom, you can easily roll 2 or more 1s in it, and then you're doing 2 to 3 mortal wounds on yourself. When a Venom's only got 6 wounds, I think that's not really that good. I still think you'll see Dark Technomancers in the form of like Raiders, and I still think Dark Technomancer Reapers from Forge World are really good, because they only tend to get like 3 or 4 shots anyway. So taking a mortal wound from the amount of damage they can pump out is really not that big a deal. I just don't think you'll see Dark Technomancer Venoms, and I think Suicide Racks, which is what we in the podcast call the rack squads with 2 liquefier guns. I don't think you'll see them because you'll fire them and you'll kill the whole squad. So rather than kill like the 2 with the guns. So Suicide Racks are truly Suicide Racks now. They're probably just going to fire once and then kill themselves, and then that's it. They're done. It's just not worth the points really. So that was a relatively big change. I don't think it matters too much when you look at the point changes across the board. I just remembered that another significant change was that the blaster went from 15 points to 10 points on most things. So that's pretty good, actually.
I'll still roll a 1 on it. So.
Yeah, you'll still roll a 1 on it. But what's even more interesting, really, is Shredders went from 10 to 5. So what I like about that is Scourge, which are already a pretty good unit. They went down in cost, so they went from, I think they were 15 points a model, and now they've gone to 12. Well, they might have been 12 all along, I don't know. But basically, you can have a unit of 5 Scourge with 4 Shredders for 80 points. Being able to drop down 9 inches from your enemy and fire 4d6, strength 6, AP 1, reroll all wounds against infantry blast weapons for 80 points is pretty darn good. That's pretty good, because against hordes you're just going to get 24 shots hitting on 3s wounding, or strength 6 are wounding most infantry on 2s and 3s, re-rolling all wounds, and AP 1. I think they're pretty good. They're pretty tasty. So
now, if me and George ever play each other on the channel, and you see George bring Shredder Scourge against me, you know that he's list tailored.
Yeah. Totally. I think they're actually the only blast weapon in my codex. Like,
is it?
I think so. Oh, no, the missiles on the planes are blast as well. Yeah, the missiles on the planes are blast. But yeah, that's like, I think that's the only infantry sort of level.
Plasma grenades.
Oh yeah, plasma grenades. Yeah,
exactly. Full of shit.
And and the phantasm grenade launcher is also blast. So you better fear that D3 strength 1 shots.
Yeah, but I'm gonna talk about it now because I think it's probably one of the biggest buffs that Dark Elder got was the fact that you can go, fire and fade,
back in transport.
Yeah, it's really good.
On that
good.
It's so good.
So, Craft World Elder, Dark Reapers.
Yeah, I think
fire and fade, back in.
I think it's a bigger buff to Craft Welders, and to a certain extent Harlequins as well, because they can
they've
get out
stuff like that anyway, ain't they?
Yeah,
they did, but it was a 2 CP strat, whereas the fire and fade's only 1, so you can get out of your boat, fire your fusion pistols, and then jump back in the boat if you really want to. I mean, I don't think you'll do it as much with Harlequins because you want to get into combat, but
you could just do Twilight Pathways and in the psychic phase and get your vehicle.
Yeah. Well, I do think you'll see it with Craft Welders quite a bit, as you said, with like Dark Reapers and Wraith Guard with the flamer cannons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're horrid.
Wraith Guard with the flamer cannons, I think, will be really, really powerful with that, and even dare I say it, fire dragons.
Yeah. Fire dragons need to come down in points for
fire dragons. Eldar in general need an overhaul. I think, like, yeah. I really feel bad for Craft Welders. I think they need a lot of love.
After 8th edition, let's play 6 fires. Your -4 hit me or something stupid.
Yeah, I still think they're being punished for the 7th edition fiasco.
Nev's up there smiling because he's the one who's played all the planes.
Me? I didn't.
Nev.
Oh, Nev. Oh.
The amount of times he played those planes, and with Toby with Imperial Guard, you go, right fast. Oh, now you can't shoot me.
Yeah, that was pretty dirty.
It was this little smug smile that always needs to come with it.
I'm just looking at the Craft World changes. It doesn't look like anything's changed for them, really. They all seem pretty
much.
I think flies went up 10 points.
Are they?
This is the thing that got the flyers getting increased points.
I think the same as Dark Elder.
They don't get used.
Flyers went up.
Why are they upped them? They don't even get used in games.
They do. You do still see Crimson Hunter X Archers, mate. They got a good damage output.
And the reroll ones as well.
Flyers though, flyers are just not great in 9th.
Yeah, but I mean, two of them, two Crimson Exarchs pump out a lot of very reliable firepower.
Yeah, because they don't take the penalty for moving and shooting heavy weapons now. So you have 2.
And reroll ones.
Yeah. I would still see Crimson. I would still put Crimson Hunter Exarchs in a Craft World list, like, and they've still got the best transport in the game, like
Wave Serpents.
Oh yeah.
Like Wave Serpents are just so good. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I can't see. There's not much change, is there, Nev? It's pretty much the same.
Yeah. I'm looking now. I can't really see much.
Oh, it's just that the thing is, the problem with Craft Worlds is, like, the units that you want to see and that you want to take are offensively overcosted, and the units that they have to take are offensively overcosted. Like, why is a Dire Avenger 11 points? Like, what? Why?
A Reaver jet bike's cheaper.
A Reaver jet bike's cheaper than a Dire Avenger. Like,
I think the skimmer shield's gone down 10 points, so it's got.
oh wow, yeah. Like, their troop choices are a joke, in my opinion. Like, and considering that's the thing that you have to fill out your lists for.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you do see Guardian mobs and you see minimum squads, minimum Dire Avengers. I haven't seen any Rangers in a list for years. Like, yeah.
On the note of other Xenoth factions, Orcs, their custom force field mech went down in points. I think he went down by 15 or 10. Yeah. The other one, I know George is going to love it. The Tau gun drones. And now 20 points a model.
That's silly. I'm starting to feel bad for Tau. Like, I never thought I'd say that.
Bugle bat reps. You heard it here, George.
You heard it here first. I actually am starting to feel a little bit. Screw them. They deserve it.
There is one thing that I did think was cool because it's kind of like what's to come. The fact that Shadow Sun is now Supreme Command, which is really cool. So that means now, like, Swarmlord, Gaz.
Is it just Shadow Sun, or have they done it to Farsight as well?
No, it's just Shadow Sun at the minute.
Oh, that's silly. Farsight should be there as well, surely.
Wouldn't be surprised if Farsight does become Supreme Command. Same with Space Pope as well. Can't remember his name.
He's dead, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, you killed him.
Ha!
Who's in the Damocles Crusade? Didn't the Khan take his head? Or was it an attack?
Oh, no. No, he didn't die.
I swear he died.
Pretty sure he died.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's still got a point cost, but
yeah, I mean, like Swarmlord, Gaz.
He stayed the same, isn't he?
Gaz, I think he's the same points. Yeah,
300.
Yeah, I think he is still the same.
300 points is simply amazing. I love that model.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised as well when if they start redoing the original 6 supplements. The likes of Shrike going up to Supreme Command, Calgar going up to Supreme Command, like any other named chapter masters, really. I'm Father Pharos, maybe. Oh yeah, he got a points increase. He went up by like 10 or 15 points. Which is
there's no Iron Hands left. They're now all Salamanders.
No, they're not. They're all Raven Guard now, mate.
But yeah, and dare we say it, Vect, but that's a laughable statement.
Yeah, they would have teased that already if it was happening. I can't imagine them just dumping that on you on release day.
Paddy's only saying that with a smug smile. He knows it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I'm still because Paddy knows I'm still in two minds about it. Like, because while I would love to see a Vect model,
I had the original one.
To me, like Vect.
Yeah, he did.
Why would he ever go? Like,
yeah,
like
it's my mum sold it.
It's the same sort of scenario like with the Night King, where like they need the hype of then all of a sudden him turning up. It will be the same sort of thing like with Vect. They'll keep him in the storyline for ages and ages and ages, and then all of a sudden, like Vect's plan comes to its end, and he's ready to unleash, doing whatever he wants, and boom, out pops Vect. But that'll be the only really real time that he will rear his pointy-eared head.
Well, he's building his summer home at the moment, mate. So
Yeah, he's trying to get hell out of Comera because have you not
he's
heard
already
there's a
done it.
boogeyman?
He's built a Neo Comera. So like he's just starting Comera again. He's on board of this one. I'm going to make a new one.
The old Comera has the boogeyman in it.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
So the other thing changed about. Should we mention about transports?
Yeah.
Well, I think we should carry on with some of the FAQs first. There's one that I'm actually, believe it or not, really, really annoyed at for the Space Marines.
You don't get it.
Really? No, yeah, I'm cheesed off about it. The apothecary change.
Oh, the ATV.
No. I'm glad they did that.
That was silly.
The reason why I'm really fucked off with that change is the fact that for like 100 points, you get a character that gets to heal up 2 squads or two guys up to 3 wounds, bring a guy back for free to full health. Where's the tax in that? Like at the end of the day, what is an apothecary? He's a combat healer, combat medic. He's not the fucking messiah. You've got a Space Marine on the floor. Right? You got a Space Marine on the floor in 2 halves. He goes, "Oh, I'll rub some aloe vera in it and give him 2 ibuprofen."
Hey, he's not a wolf priest. He hasn't got any aloe vera. Those healing balms and ointments are for the wolves only, mate.
All right, whatever. But yeah, like I think that they should have nerfed even more. Like, I wouldn't even say D3. I would go as far as saying like you heal a guy up with 1 wound, done. At the end of the day, you're paying nothing for that stratagem, nothing. So getting a guy back on 1 wound for 0 CP, I still say that's pretty damn good. But bringing back like an Outrider or a Centurion or a Deathwing Terminator back up to full wounds, it's jank. It's too good. Make it like give it a bit more of a nerf, you know? I don't know what your guys' views on it, but yeah, I generally think that they should have made it even more like hindered.
But I think generally speaking, GW are a bit hesitant on nerfing things too much because we all know the days when something got nerfed, usually it got absolutely battered to the point where it became unplayable, and they don't want to make their Space Marines unplayable. Yeah, like they don't want to make anything in the Space Marine Codex unplayable. You can see they want to make the whole Codex like good and usable, so people can use and choose and play what they want.
Still, even in like a hyper competitive build, I would still consider taking an apothecary that gets to bring back 1 dude on 1 wound.
Oh yeah, you'll still see him in competitive lists because he's really cheap for what he does. But yeah, I think like I don't know. At least it has been changed. Like that's the main thing. They're obviously aware that the apothecary is a bit silly, and they have done a little bit to help that, but
still not as much as I'd like. But yeah, never happy. But yeah,
I'm trying to find the core rulebook around. Oh, here it is. Found it. There you go.
Yeah, transport.
So, we'll do transports. Just if anyone needs a lesson in trigonometry, on page 1 of the core rulebook errata is right there. If any of you weren't aware of how to measure the side of a triangle, there it is.
How to make something simple complex.
I get why they put it in. I mean, in a way, it's a good thing they put it in there because I guess it does get confusing sometimes. But at least it's in black and white. So if you ever get those moments in a tournament where someone really argues, no, it's not a triangle, it's a rhombus or something. I don't know, like, like you can just put in there. But what we got? The clarify some of the quicker ones. So the clarification on deploying large models, I think, is really good.
Something at a higher level now, you need a short charge. So you can make it on N8.
Yeah.
So I'm in a building, so you can charge me on 8. I'll have it down 4.
Yeah. Well, it's just because of the 5-inch up. Yeah, it's always been like that since 9th edition dropped. It's always been like that, but a lot of people found it really confusing. It's just like it is thematically, it's confusing because it's sort of counterintuitive. Like, how is it easier for me to charge a unit that's on the top of the building than it is on the bottom of the building? Yeah. But That's just the way the maths works. So
Maths, that's why.
yeah. So the deploying large models I really like. I think so. If you have an aircraft that's got wings that are bigger than deployment zone, you can still deploy it. Because that was silly. I think we all heard stories about people in tournament play that were like arguing, saying the whatever the name of that Forge World Custodes plane is.
Yeah.
The one that, the one that in certain maps, in certain deployment zones, it literally couldn't fit in the deployment zones. You couldn't deploy it, and then they were like, "Oh, it has to start in reserve, or it's destroyed, or something." Like, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, again, did anyone play the Psychic Actions one? I always thought you could deny them. I've always played it like that.
We here have always played it as that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because how we read it is, it's performing a psychic.
Yeah, you're casting
that power.
Yeah, you're casting a power.
It, so you can still deny it.
Yeah, it has a warp charge value, so you have to cast it, and then if someone has the ability to deny, then they can stop you.
Yeah.
So the big one, I'll take this one because it does affect Aldari, it seems, more than most armies that I'm aware of. So the out of phase rules for embarking on transport. So any abilities that allow you to move outside of the movement phase, as if it were the movement phase, you can use that. If you end your move within 3 inches of a friendly transport, you can then embark on the transport. And the most obvious one, as Nev said, is for fire and fade for Aldari units. So they can shoot, and then after that unit shoots, they can move 7 inches in any direction. If they end their move within 3 inches of a transport, they can get in that transport. So that's pretty good. There probably are other units and other armies that have something similar to that, but that's the main one that jumped out at me, was being able to fire and fade back into a transport. Is really quite good.
Obviously now on the transports, you can't use any stratagems on the open top units.
No, you can't use it on the unit, and you can't. Yeah, so you can't. I can't re-roll my hit with my blaster anymore. So
I'm not being funny, but
not in the field, is it?
What was really the point in re-rolling, spending a point to re-roll one blaster shot?
Because I spent 10 points on it, Paddy.
Yeah.
If it hits once during that game and kills something, you've made your 10 points back.
Yeah.
And obviously the modifiers affect the vehicle and the unit inside.
That's it. I mean, I always thought it should be played this way, but that actually is good for Drakari, because there is a stratagem for Flayed Skull that you can pick a Flayed Skull unit, and that unit gets +1 to hit against units with the fly keyword. So if that's the case, that means if I say I pick a raider filled with 10 Carbolite warriors, the Carbolite warriors will also get +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Because it's a modifier, and also because they're Flayed Skull with their splinter weapons, they would re-roll 1. So suddenly, my 10 splinter rifles would be hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. So that's actually pretty good with ignores cover. So that's actually I quite like that, because I always kind of thought it as rules as written, it did work like that, but I'm glad that GW clarified it.
Another rules as written thing as well. In the designers notes on the Space Marines. So there's umpteen different ways that you can put a unit into a certain doctrine, and some armies benefit more off their super doctrine being in a certain doctrine during the game. Because they've got umpteen different rules writers and things writing rules, essentially they had 3 different ways of saying you put a unit into this doctrine, and people were just assuming, you count as being in that doctrine, so therefore you get your super doctrine. But they've now confirmed, yes, you do now get your super doctrine.
Good.
Yeah, mainly it's for the Blood Angels and Space Wolves. That was for that.
Also, I think Fists as well, Fists and Iron Hands, because they only get their super doctrine on turn 1, and Dark Angels. So like obviously being able to shove a I don't know, a big unit of Devastators or the Devastator Centurions back into Devastator Doctrine.
I'm not funny, but the Dark Angels really need their Super Doctrine. I mean, you just take like as many not Deathwatch,
Terminators.
Deathwing.
Yeah, Terminators, Deathwing Terminators with an Apothecary healing up Terminators, only being able to wound them on 4s. It's dumb. But yeah. Yeah.
I think it's ants. It was just painful.
Well,
I like the. Sorry, mate.
Reese from Frontline Gaming, he's using the Deathwing army at the minute, and it's like 37 Deathwing Terminators and 1 Ravenwing Apothecary on bike.
Yeah.
And like he's saying, like, you know, I'm not the best player in the world, but I'm romper stomping everybody. He hasn't been tabled at all since he's been using this list.
Mm. It plays itself. Does he have the Warlord trait for OBSEC as well, I'm guessing?
I think so.
Yeah, it's just it's so strong. But I think Dark Angels are getting their new codex soon, so it'll probably all change again. Like,
yeah.
But I liked the clarification on the rare rules always fight first last thing. So you can't use. They've now clarified you cannot use the counter-offensive stratagem to make a unit fight that's been forced to fight last. So that's really good. So for Space Marines, obviously you got the what's he called? The Judicar, is it, or Judicia? Judicia. So he has the 3-inch make a unit fight last. For me, as a Drakari player, the Vexator Mask, which is one of the best relics in my book, probably the best relic in my book, gets better from this because I can hide my Homunculus out behind my unit of Talos, make the unit that charged my Talos fight last, and my Talos can chew you up. So that's really nice. I really love that, and that's such a linchpin combo for Dark Elder at the moment. I'm sure it'll change when the Codex comes out, but
you got Army Rats as well for Space Rules.
Yeah. So that's really good. I've always kind of felt that is how it's meant to be. It did always feel a bit kind of annoying that I had to save my Agents of Vec to stop the counter-offensive after I vexated something. It's just like, oh, really? I've already used a relic to like stop you. Now I've got to use my best stratagem to stop you as well. Like, so what else?
Did you go on to the mission changes?
No, we're doing the transports. I'm trying to find the transport thing. The preventing reinforcement units from setting up. You can always set up in your deployment zone if you're coming in from reinforcement, even if your opponent has a unit like infiltrators that stop you from coming in. So that's really good. I think that helps Genestealer Cult a bit because I know that Genestealer Cult got shut down quite bad by infiltrators.
They all got shut down because of the missions, but we'll come on to that in a minute anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, transport. So this mostly affects, as far as I can tell, this mostly affects Dark Elder because they're one of the only armies that has a lot of shooting from transports. I know Orcs have some, and anyone else have open top transports that are filled with guns?
Impulsors should be, but they're not.
No, they're not.
You got that Imperial Guard.
You get that stupid assault vehicle rule, mate, that I would sell what's left of my soul for. So yeah, well, we covered it a little bit. So stratagems cannot be used on a unit that's embarked. That's fine. This is actually quite interesting. You measure distance and draw line of sight from any point of the transport. Now, why that's interesting is because it was always the case for that with Raiders, but Venoms didn't have the hull measurement rule, so you had to measure from the base.
This came up in the game with me and Paddy last time.
Yeah,
and we had that argument, didn't we? Because I said it did a say from the hull.
Yeah. What's weird is if your opponent's shooting at the Venom, you have to measure to the base. But if the Venom's shooting at your opponent, you measure from the hull.
What?
Yeah. So you can actually create like janky interpretations where you just have the wing of the venom sticking out from obscure terrain, and you can fire the occupants from the wing, but your opponent can't shoot you back.
Oh,
That no, that
don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's a bit janky.
needs
It's
to
a
get
bit.
changed. That is jank.
Yeah, so
I'm building an army of land speeders.
this was always the case. If a transport moved or did anything, then the embark models count as doing that as well. You can't fire anything in engagement range unless it's a pistol, which I think is a bit annoying. I'd love to fire my splinter rifles in combat. That'd be so cool.
The Spaceballs don't Spaceballs have a strat where their bolters count as pistols in combat?
They used to. I don't know if they got it anymore.
I'm not sure.
They need.
Yeah, it used to be true grit. It used to be, but I don't think they got it anymore. Unless specifically stated otherwise, the embarked unit is not affected by abilities, including auras, of any other unit, even if that unit is also embarked in the same transport. That's annoying. I really would love it if my Archon in a transport could give reroll 1s to the guys inside the transport, but it is what it is. But they have clarified that any abilities that unit has for detachment abilities, it keeps when it's in the transport. Because before this was clarified, rules as written, poison tongue Carbolite warriors that usually get to reroll 1s to wound with their poison weapons wouldn't get it inside a transport because it's an ability and you don't benefit from abilities inside a transport. But they've just clarified that they keep that, so that's good. And as we said, modifiers that apply to the transport also apply to the unit. So if you're hit by a negative modifier, then the unit inside has a negative modifier. And as we discussed earlier, +1's a hit for Flayed Skull would also benefit the guys inside. So pretty good. I think all in all, it's just some clarifications that I've always played with my transports and also makes them a little bit better, I would say. So I'm happy with that. That's it, I think. Yeah, that's it for the big one. Let's go on to the missions.
So,
That's big. I really like it as well.
So for those who don't know, whoever rolls highest goes first.
Yeah.
The majority of people deploy to play go second.
Now you can't choose to go second.
That's what I mean. It stopped it.
Yeah. It's really good. Now you just completely even. It's 50-50 whether you go first or not.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I was talking about earlier that kind of screws Genes to the cult. Because Genes to the cult want to go second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, like if they win the roll off, they can't now choose to go second.
No.
So they have to go first. So that's kind of screwed them, which is a shame because Genes to the cult.
Yeah, but still, like relying on going second was never like a decent strategy, mate. Like you can't rely on going second. Like it's the same as when if you build an army that has to go first. Like that's not really a good strategy to use in list building. Like
no, but when the when essentially that is the way how Genes to the cult play, they want to go second. You don't really have a choice then.
No.
You know, you can't then go, okay, I'm going to build an army to go second, or I'm going to build an army to go first. You can't do that. You don't have a choice because the codex and the missions kind of have to do it anyway. So, which then effectively you are rolling a dice to see whether or not you win or lose the game.
Yeah. We're back in 7th again.
Yeah,
like everyone deploys expecting to go second, don't they?
Yeah.
You should. I always say you should deploy aiming to go second. Like if you deploy aiming to go first and then you don't go first, and you're just deploying wrong because
only certain armies want to go first.
Yeah.
But then like if I came up against Gene Stealer Cult again, using them as a reference, I would deploy as if I am going first. Like
Yeah,
before,
but there's no you can't counter deploy against GSC, can you? Because they're not there like turn one. Like,
what I'm saying is like you would deliberately deploy things on the front line to rush the objectives to prevent your opponent from doing it.
And spread and cover the board in as many bodies as possible to stop them from deep striking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that determining first turn is really good. It speeds up the game as well, and
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it stops any of those janky interactions where you deploy first and then go second. Like, I just never really liked that, because that was always really annoying, because if you deployed first and then you'd see where your opponent deploys, and then your opponent would probably deploy defensively thinking that you're going to take first turn, and then you give him first turn and he's out of position and he can't really act on it. Yeah. That's just not a good feeling. That's not a good way to play a game, really. Like, so yeah, that's a really good change, I think.
One of the other is as well, being first or second, is the primary objective change.
Yeah.
So before,
that's huge.
Yeah. So before, you always claim for the primary at the end of your command phase. But if you go second, you now don't get to claim it at the end of your command phase. You get to claim it at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bigger than the first turn change, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's be honest, whoever goes first on turn 5, all they do is come everything off the objectives and just try and like go for your neck, don't they? Basically.
Yeah, well, they throw away turn 5. It just made turn 5 a waste of time for the player 1.
Now you can move on to your objectives. That last turn, you can easily score 15 points.
Yeah. It also makes the player who goes first, they've really got to think, like, they've got to try and predict what player 2 is going to do in their movement phase on turn 5.
Yeah.
Like, they've got to try and see, right, what are the positions of my opponent's surviving units, and where can he move to? What objectives can he threaten to grab at the end of the game?
How can I prevent them from doing it? What units am I going to kill off, essentially?
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah. I'll move on to objectives. Okay, that's the end game. Yeah, well done.
It led to. I mean, I've seen battle reports and stuff like that where turn 5 just became kind of irrelevant, because it was like
essentially it just got to the point where you're just like, yeah, okay, X person concedes, or okay, we'll just like talk through the final turn. Yeah. I've done many games talk through the final turn, because there's just generally no point in playing it. At least now there is point in playing the final turn.
Well, as well, obviously that second player on turn 4, they score their points at the start of the turn. The rest of the turn, they can even then come off the objectives themselves. Yeah, because they don't need to be there start turn 5.
No.
Yeah. So it sort of flips that coin there as well.
Yeah, I really love that change. It's so good. Yeah, it's going to change the way the game's played quite more significantly than people really realise at the moment, because we're not playing games. But that's the tactical decisions that are going to go into the late game now are going to be so important on the deciding of the game, and it should help mitigate the turn 1 advantage, because there is still a turn 1 advantage, because the game's so damaging. There is still a turn 1 advantage because the alpha is so strong. So this will really help mitigate it.
What armies do you reckon will benefit most from this?
Dark Elder.
What, from the first or second turn thing?
Yeah.
Then turn 5.
Fast armies.
Yeah. Fast armies, or armies that have like the janky movement, straps or abilities.
Yeah,
Harlequins,
I think.
Not necessarily units, but I'm talking like the White Scar strap to double move, the Tyranny strap to double move. Is Swarmlord still alive? Double move.
Yeah, overrun.
Sequence that, so like literally you can go, right, okay, I got stuff that's really far out the way, then it comes to like your opponent's fifth turn, and he goes, oh well, he's out of range of that, and this, that, and the other, and then you just go, right, okay, I've won, so I'll pass the turn. Then person who goes second on his fifth turn just goes, right, okay, I'll double move out of sequence. I'm on that objective, doing X, Y, and Z. And then before you know it, the player who went first just kind of went, well, that's not how I envisioned the final turn.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's lost it. So you've got to be really, really brutal in trying to hold those objectives and prevent your opponent from getting them.
I think it forces player one to play really defensively on the final turn of the game. Like, he's got to position himself to hold ground as best he can. I mean, obviously, you could go, depending on how the game's gone, you could go for the throat, like Paddy said, and just try and finish your opponent off so he can't, or lock him up in combat. But yeah, like, I think any army that can use movement shenanigans, like out of phase movement sequences, or is just naturally very, very fast, will do really, really well with this change, because they can turn 5, hop on objectives, and score them. Like, I think that's what kept like me in the game when I was playing Dark Elder through like 6th and 7th, was the late game just jump on objectives with Venom.
Yeah,
like,
because that's essentially how the objectives were played during those editions, where it was final turn. The game was down to the final turn. If you had units that were able to get onto objectives, that's essentially how you won the game. Didn't matter how many units you had left, but if you had those like one-man Reaver jet bike unit that was just like sat there behind a building the whole entire game, and you just go, okay, final turn, I will move turbo boost, and oh look, I get line breaker and sat on your objective. Cool, ideal.
Reavers are 10 points now, Paddy.
Are they?
I can move 35 inches in a turn with them.
With a 10-point unit.
A 10 point model. Changes to While We Stand, We Fight. What do we think about that, guys? I love it.
Yeah, that again changed.
Yeah,
Completely.
It should have always been a unit.
I think it should have always been units.
yeah.
It's now that secondary that Space Marines aren't really going to take as much.
No.
Which is, they've kind of now passed the torch on to the likes of
Murder Bots.
Yeah, Murder Bots, or Squad of Talos. I don't know, a durable unit in Necrons. Triac Praetorians, or whatever they are. The ones with the 4-up in bowls. The ones with the
I wouldn't put them on par, but I think you'll see as well big 10-man squads of Deathwing Knights.
Yeah.
Like jump out of me. I said, as you said, like 3-man Talos units, because I think I can imagine taking While We Stand, We Fight with that, because it forces your opponent to shoot at the Talos, and that's what you want him to do. Like, you want him to shoot the Talos because they can soak up a lot more damage than my other stuff. And now if he doesn't,
it like gotcha sort of.
Yeah, it's the catch-22. Like, you either ignore them and kill the stuff that's killing you, and you let the Talos move up the board and then chop you up and give away victory points. So, yeah, I think I really love it, and I think you'll see. I think it would change army design quite significantly. I think you will start to see big blobs of like really durable units purely for While We Stand, We Fight.
I would actually consider taking 6-man Blade Guard veteran squads.
Yeah,
and putting While We Stand on them,
and painting them Dark Angels.
Well, my ones are going to be black anyway because they're Keshig.
Are the Keshig black?
Only the Ebon Keshig, but they're not really used much in like the 41st millennium. There was more of a 30k thing. In other words,
are they Ebon because they lost their Khan?
No, they never lost the Khan. The reason why they're Ebon is because they dishonoured themselves, or one way or another. And it's their
He went out for milk like 10,000 years ago, and he never came back.
Yak milk.
Yeah, yak milk. He went up a yak milk 10,000 years ago.
I think something mentioned on While We Fight We Stand. Obviously, when there was models, it'd be like demon princes and stuff like that, which you could then double up with assassinate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So obviously,
that was
quite
the thing as well. Assassinate. It was an 8-point swing with assassinate.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you killed one of their While We Stand We Fight, it was an 8-point.
Yeah, but
swing.
it was one of those traps, wasn't it, mate? That your opponent would know that you would pick While We Stand, like you pick While We Stand, and your opponent will go for assassinate, and then you just hide that character for the entire game. And
yeah.
Yeah,
but then
as I said, I do think you'll see some really interesting. Like the one that stood out for me were Admech murder bots, because I know they're so durable and they pump out so much firepower, and there's so few ways to shut them down. Any other units that jump out at you guys as Deathwing Terminators really jump out for this?
It's a good job that Zone Throats went up by 5 points, because Martin can't see them.
Yeah. Yeah, Zone. Nev, you got any ideas? Big blobs of Custodes?
Anything with good and vulnerable to say that, really.
Yeah.
You could play a big squad of Sanguinary Guard. I know they've not got no involved, but the 2-up saves still, and they're still quite bulky.
Yeah, possibly, but I think if you're spending the points on Sanguinary Guard and then you're keeping them back, you're doing something wrong, aren't you? Like,
Can't really think of anything.
I think for certain armies will take this a lot more. Like, I never took While We Stand We Fight in Dark Elder because my characters are not durable. And my most expensive single model was often like a Ravager or a Void Raven, and they're not hard to kill. So, but now I can put it on something like a unit of 6 Grotesques or a unit of 3 Talos. Or this guy. I really like While We Stand We Fight on this guy, because he can blink around the board and just be somewhere where you don't want him to be. So he's really good for While We Stand.
That's a thing as well. Drazar went up in points, didn't he?
He did, yeah, but it's kind of deserving. Like, he was 105 points for what he did was very, very cheap. So, so going up to 135, I can understand that. I still think you'll see him in pretty much every Dark Elder list because the rest of our HQs are so meh. I wouldn't say they're bad. They're just not. They're not
for the minute. For the minute.
But then we're going to get a new Lilith, and she's going to be amazing.
Too much armor.
Huh?
She's wearing too much armor.
Oh, yeah, she's got too many clothes on. Why is she not naked?
No. It's not the clothes. It's the fact she's wearing too much armor. She doesn't need to wear armor.
She's got armor. Our current model's got armor on it, mate.
Still too much armor.
She's got just as much armor plating as she does on the current model.
Exactly. So too much.
What are you one of those ones that just want her to walk around in a bikini, if that?
No.
Well, I think you should move on before this.
She's a strong, independent woman.
Paddy, talking of riches, Abba the Rich, we've got changes on there.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, that's really good.
So you got psychic characters. Previously used to be 5 points, now down to 3. Psychic units down from 3 points to 2 points.
Good change. I think that was such a no-brainer against like Knights and Thousand Suns, and even some Chaos lists. I think that's a good change, and the fact that it still stacks with Assassinate, doesn't it? So you can still take Assassinate and Abhor the Witch, and that will still give you a good number of secondaries against like Grey Knights and Thousand Suns, but not as easy as it used to be. So yeah, really good change. And the last one that I think is probably the biggest buff to Dark Elder besides the 10-point Reavers is the Bring It Down change, which is huge. That's a really big change.
So it's now 1 point for 10 runes or less, 2 points for 11 to 19 runes, which is basically all your normal tanks. and then 3 points of 20 wounds, which is your knights.
Yeah.
It definitely helps. Obviously, Jakai out for sure.
Oh yeah, massive.
Not being funny though, but you will never see people bring it down anymore.
No.
I still think it's an attractive option against, like, say me, for instance, because I can easily put like eight Venoms and 6 Talos on a board. Like,
Okay,
I know each one's only worth 1 point, but like they're easy points.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's the fact that that's you saying, "Oh yeah, I could easily field this," but realistically, that's not what you're going to be fielding. At most, you're going to be fielding like 8 altogether, so 8 vehicles and monsters. You're not really going to be fielding.
I've got 12 Venoms in my box I need to put on the board.
Yeah, but you're not listening to what I'm saying, though, are you? You just go, yeah, I got this. I don't care what you got. I'm saying, realistically, this, you're not going to go off and field 12 Venoms. It's going to be like, yeah, look what I can do. Look, check out how big my Elven deck. No one cares with your 12 Venoms. You power gamer. You fucking try hard.
But it definitely helps out, obviously, Imperial Guard as well.
Yeah. I think. What are the name of the Scion transports? Is it Taurox?
Yeah, Taurox.
That can have the autocannon on top.
Yeah.
Or the rocket launcher, isn't it? It's like an autocannon or a rocket launcher, and they're quite cheap. I think so. I think some armies, like Adeptus Mechanicus, I can imagine seeing a mechanized like transport list, because Bring It Down was always it was such an easy thing to score against certain armies. Like me, it was every game against Dark Elder, you would get 15 on Bring It Down, like by turn 3.
I think against most armies, it's quite a good one to take often. But
yeah,
now it just makes it just a little bit less sure of doing it. You know what I mean?
Like Paddy said, I think against most armies you won't take it, because it's not worth it. It's only really against those more skew lists like Dark Elder, and maybe like mechanized orcs or Adepta, like Imperial Guard, maybe.
Yeah.
Before, I would consider taking Bring It Down if my opponent had 4 rhinos.
Yeah.
That's that sort of thing. I would have considered taking Bring It Down. Where now, I don't think I'd ever take Bring It Down anymore, unless I was really strapped for what secondaries to take. But then, if the way I look at it is, if you should always have 2 secondaries that you know full well that you can do without having to interact with your opponent. That's how you should build your list, and then your third one should be based really around what your opponent's using.
Preferably, you want 3 secondaries that don't rely on your opponent at all, but that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
So obviously, bring it down to Purge Emily. So you got in that sector, you got Titan Hunter, cut off the head, assassinate, and then you got your obviously Codex related ones. Which is a bit controversial still.
Well, the Codex ones now, they're really good. So, some better than others.
Necrons have one of the better ones. So a quarter you're not in, you can get 3 points.
Opposite the table quarters. Purge Vermin. Love it.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, from my perspective, the change to Bring It Down is really good, and the change to While We Stand is really good. Because now I would quite happily build a list for While We Stand and take that as my third secondary. That is often really hard for me to choose, because I always pick Engage on all fronts because I'm Dark Elder. I always pick Deploy Scramblers because it's really easy.
Yeah.
And the third one I always struggle with, but now, While We Stand is a really attractive option. If I have, say, 6 Talos and the Incarn, that's pretty good. I'll probably lose a unit of Talos. The chance of me losing both units of Talos is pretty, well, I would say small, but against Paddy they got rinsed by turn 3. But
I was going to say, do I mention you last game?
But
For those of you who don't know, I do tend to get my poo pushed in against George. Not in our last game. Not in our last game.
What we do in the bedroom, mate, is between us. All right, let's not leave it to the public. So yeah, the mission changes we're all really happy with. I think they're all really good.
Yeah, I just want to add something. Like with high tyrants, you'd have somebody assassinate the psychic one, so they get 5 points, and then bring it down, so they get 9 points just for one high tyrant.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
Assassinate is purge, and so is bring it down.
Is it?
Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't pick assassinate and bring it down.
It'd be like Abula Rich, if anything. That's like it.
This is how little I took purge ones.
Yeah, but you're Dark Elder. You don't need to.
Yeah, I never took purge. It was always like shadow operations and what else did I take? Battle supremacy, and then one other that I used to always fluff on. Yeah, it's really good. Were there any other changes? I can't think of any other changes.
I think that's about it for me, to be fair. Or the main stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just random little FAQs in certain places.
Things like melter weapons, like fusion pistols, and the Orc Burner, they didn't get the melter ability.
Yeah, so
no,
but longer.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing like with Grey Knights not getting an extra wound on their stuff, but then it's all stuff that's going to get new codexes. So you just bear with it. I mean, it's not like people can go out and play games at the minute. So just sit, wait, and build and paint models.
I've been playing games, mate.
You've been playing games.
I've been playing games against myself, but I can't get above a 50% win record.
Yeah, it's because you suck.
Yeah, I do suck. I can't. No matter how hard I try, it's always 50-50 whether I win or lose.
That's what
you know what you're opponent.
I know. My opponent's such a power gamer. It's just crazy.
Funny. They kind of leaked a Dark Angels thing, didn't they, on the FAQs?
Did they?
It's like the Deathwing Strike Master or something.
Oh, like a new unit?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like accidentally on purpose is GW trying to troll us, but yeah, they kind of let the cat out the bag with a new model. I don't know what it does. I'm assuming
Deathwing Strike Master.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be have the Deathwing and Inner Circle keyword. Those are my predictions.
Yeah, when it just be like the Ravenwing Talonmaster, but for Deathwing, like a generic Deathwing HQ choice that's not a named character.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be a type of Terminator Lieutenant. So I don't think there is one of them, is there?
I don't know, mate.
Talonmaster.
You got the Deathwing champion, haven't you? Who's like a lieutenant, isn't he? I don't know. I don't know enough nor care enough about Chaos, so I don't really look at Dark Angels much.
And I think there was Nurglings. Nurglings have now gone up. Yeah, they've gone up points by quite a bit. I think they went up by like.
I think they went up by 4 points a base. I think.
Yeah, and they've also confirmed as well that things that do mortal wounds to them, they don't count as damage 1. Which
no, yeah, They don't
why
get rid of resilient
why
against.
people say that mortal wounds counted as damage 1, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's a mortal wound. It doesn't have a damage characteristic. So yeah, they confirmed that now you 100% don't get your feel no pain against it, which is good. At the end of the day, Nurglings needed something done to them because
You'll still see them everywhere.
yeah, you will still see them, just not as many because they're too expensive. Well, not too expensive. They're
Like
more expensive.
two less spaces.
Yeah. So, trying to think what other little snippets.
Anything from Blood Angels you'll bring on Nev?
Not
Yeah,
really.
brother.
To be honest with you. Yeah, carry on. I need to see it.
I don't. Did Space Wolves get anything?
No, not really.
No, they stayed
No.
pretty much the same as their codex,
Yeah.
which is understandable.
Just
Because
the
they've just
Doctor
come
and
out.
everything.
Don't think the Forge World book got any change. Oh yeah, it was just like clarifications and stuff and silly little typos. Like the Leviathan, well, the Chaos Leviathan, the Grav Flux, like the range was wrong. I think it was like range 12 or something. It's now up to 24, the same as the Imperium one. A lot of the vehicles didn't have. It had like explode, but it didn't tell you like what the stat was. So, for instance, like it would just say like, oh yeah, it explodes. You roll a dice when it explodes, but it didn't say like what the damage was when it dies. It just went, yeah, it just blows up. I don't think they changed any of the points in it. I think that pretty much all stayed the same.
It just come out there, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it has only just.
Anyone else got anything they'll bring up before we finish it?
Not really.
No, just roll on lockdown end where we can start playing some of these rules.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't change them again.
Well, mine will. I'm pretty much certain that we'll get the Dark Elder Codex will come out before the lockdown ends, and then
Yes.
yeah.
Everyone's seen Paddy versus George on the channel.
Yeah, happy to. Like, I'm happy. I kept booking off days to come down and do a battle report with you, mate, and it just COVID just messed it all up.
Excuses. You're just scared because Nid's undefeated on the channel.
You guys haven't managed to beat his Nids yet.
No.
Nope.
Oh dear.
I've come close.
In all fairness, is anyone played them?
On stream.
They're undefeated on stream. Yeah, they are. True.
Maybe we'll have we've done Ultramarines versus Nids. And someone will have to comment on one of the Facebook thing saying, I'm not watching this because it's just a power army versus low tier. Yet the Nids won.
Oh no.
They were calling the Nids the power army.
No, Ultras, and they lost.
Seeing the power army go up against like a low tier army.
I skipped to the end, didn't see any models, so I didn't watch it.
Oh, silly.
Look again.
Yeah. I love it. I love it when people underestimate stuff. Like it happened all the way through the GT finals, didn't it, mate? Like everyone you went up against completely underestimated your Nid list. Like,
I still remember watching on stream. The commentators was like, "Oh, this Horde army is too slow."
Yeah, it was Paddy's fault. Tyranid players out there that are watching it, it's Paddy's fault that old one I went up in cost.
Yeah.
Because he used it on the GW stream and it ruined the Deathwatch player, and the commentators had no idea that old one I could do this stuff, and Paddy showed them. And then what happened in the next next FAQ, Paddy?
Well, at points.
He went up in points and he couldn't take the custom mutations anymore, could he, mate?
The custom mutations happened the day before the finals.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, it's also the reason why Gaunts went up in points because of me.
Yeah.
Just
But
guilty.
it's funny, like, all the way through, everybody was like, "Oh, yeah, like Tyranids, I've got this sort of thing," and but everybody all lost by quite a lot. It was like when I came up against Dan, the guy that won the event. from Glasshammer, and like he was saying the other day, it's like you should never underestimate NIDS. I found that out on at the GT finals when in my final game I came up against NIDS. I was like, what? Why the hell am I going up against NIDS? Like I'm on course to win the event. Why am I coming up against NIDS? And then like when I turned around and said, yeah, I won 4 out of my 5 games, and he was like, what? And it was like got to the 3rd turn, and like I'm like 12 points ahead of him, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? What? I'm using like iron hands with, you know,
I'll tell you what,
crazy
mate, even though I did really well at that event, like I enjoyed it more for how well you did. Like I thought it was, considering how like skewed the meta was in Marine's favour at the time. This was before any nerfs had happened. So Iron Hands were at their absolute peak. Like everything was on. Space Marines were at the top of their game, and for you to go 4-0 with a Tyrannid Gaunt spam was just genius. Like just genius. Like
it's funny, I kept having like Wade and Nick and like all sorts of different people pop up and be like, you know, how'd you get on in your last game? It's like, yeah, I won. Oh my god, the hell! And I got to like the 2nd day, and then like, oh, you're in the Shark Tank, and then I won my 1st game, and Nick's like, I need to check your dice. I don't roll any. I only roll saves. But no, it's yeah, NIDS are great. I love using
NIDS are great. It's all I love it when you see underdog lists doing really well. Like, it's great. And you always hear like when you watch like top tier players, and I think the problem is they're always chasing that meta dragon, aren't they? And they're always like going after like what's the top tier units and top tier combos and all this kind of stuff. And then like you won those games by knowing your army inside out and simply playing numbers. Like we knew going into that tournament that like people were going to be spamming things to kill 2 wounded Space Marines, like Primaris Marines. And all you did was did the opposite of that and just bring 201 wounded bodies to the board.
Yeah, like originally, like I was using Leviathan and having the Feel No Pain. And then when I looked at the custom traits, I was like, what? You can just give all my Gaunts a 6-up invul? Why would I want a 6-up Feel No Pain when I can have a 6-up invul? Yeah.
That 6-up invul is what makes my witches just so overpowered. That's why I run like 5 of them in every army.
You need more. You need to crank those numbers up.
I think I've got about 80 now, 80 to 90 witches. I've only got like 30 painted, but
yeah,
because I started building it when because people were selling witches like really cheap on eBay, and I really wanted to do that witch foot Dark Elder list with like 200 witches. But then I can't remember why I stopped doing it. I think I just got bored of building witches. And they got a lot more. You got a lot more detail on them than your standard Termagaunt.
Yeah. Yeah. The so changes then for your lists with the FAQs.
Yeah, it's a good question. Martin, what do you want to take one of your armies? I know you've got about 15 of them, but
I don't think I can change anything. It'll help them out, especially with like Harlequins and Dark Elder, bring it down. Because I just went fuck it and just played the list anyway, even though it was easy to fucking score against. It'll just help me out.
You got a sort of Carbolite themed Dark Elder list, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm a couple Jukai player, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, well they got better. Like the change to bring it down alone just makes them better. Like,
yeah. We'll see what new Codex brings. The rest of my armies, like Space Rules and stuff like that, I sort of build them not to give away second those anyway, like that. So, put it down now, obviously, means I could make my Space Wolf Dread list, which could be fun. Just Bjorn, Marlefang, Shield Dreads.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd look epic as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, none of my lists look. The bloody list I'm making, I always left a good. I think it's 1920. So I always left points just in case things went up. So
Because your Blood
yeah.
Angels, obviously, you play 3 war suits, don't you?
they're not in this one. Oh, no, not in this one. My 1750 point list. I don't think it's changed. Obviously, that's changing because that's the old 8th edition. Yeah, none of my lists have really changed from the FAQs.
I think for me, I'm gonna have to change my white scars up a little bit. Only because of the price increase to Outriders. Tyranids, it's more focusing on what like secondaries and stuff now that I could possibly do. I mean, like while we stand, we fight on Zone Thropes and Hive Guard, but then it's the 3rd unit. You know, what do I pick for the 3rd unit?
3 units of 6 Zone Thropes, surely.
Well, I could be that guy. Then I just
You really fucking are.
I don't know. I mean, like I've kind of gone off the Hive Guard and gone more onto Barbie. But yeah, I'd probably look at Hive Guard again. I want to start thinking about using, like, have a play around with the Shock Guard more, because obviously we bring it down now, getting a nerf. I see more of a rise in like mech. So I think going for Shock Guard as well as Impaler Guard would be quite a good shout. Devil Gaunts as well. Probably consider taking a Devil Gaunt squad in and outflanking them.
Coming in from reserve with that many shots is dirty. Like,
yeah. I don't know. Warriors, possibly have a little play around with Warriors. I just have to have a look at the points and see what it's like once it's all in front of me, sort of thing. I know obviously they've gone down by 4 points and this, that, and the other. It's more having a play around with them, because if I am going to take a warrior squad, I'd like to take quite a big squad of them, because then you benefit more from the mutation, so you can give them like a special rule instead of taking a warlord trait. So, but yeah, it's all things that I could possibly think about. But at the minute, I quite like using my horde. I am enjoying using a horde of Tyranids because it looks cool.
It's really thematic as well.
Such a pain in the ass to play against.
Yeah.
I remember our game with Necrons. I took Finn their ranks. I was like, I can kill their own models. Must kill 120 odd models. He still had fucking shitloads left.
Yeah, Tyranids.
Like
And
each turn,
morale as well. It's so good.
He's another 40 models.
No, there's plenty of things that I could play around with. My list that essentially I've been using isn't really going to change. Just need to learn what the Dimacaron can kill.
Nothing.
Currently, you can't kill Thunderwolf on Lord on Thunderwolf, and he can't kill Redemptor Dread or kill him.
Sad time.
Yeah.
That was a good moment. That was when you charged him in with armor Ross. Okay, kills it, and he was like, "Shit, it's not a counter."
Oh yeah, I thought the fight when you die thing was monsters or characters, and it turns out it wasn't. Bad times. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fine. I'll fight again when I die. Oh, can't do it. That's annoying. Just throw away that model. Why not? But yeah.
What about you, George? Obviously, you talk about your Drakai a bit, but
yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's talking about Drakai is like a bloody rabbit hole. To be honest, I could talk about them for. I made an entire podcast on talking about Drakari. So for me, if I go through like the list that kind of saw me through 8th edition, which was 6 Talos, a couple of Ravagers, and then usually like a smattering of Witches and Reaver jet bikes. I think that list gets stronger because of the changes to secondaries, changes to bring it down, and changes to While We Stand We Fight. The change to While We Stand We Fight, I think, is the biggest change because it gives Dark Elder a decent third option for secondaries. Because before it was always engage on all fronts and take scramblers because they were easy for us to do and didn't require a lot of thinking.
Same with Harlequins.
Say again?
Same with Harlequins.
Yeah.
Engage and deploy scramblers.
But the third secondary was always a real tough choice. There was never really very many good options. But now we bring it that with the change to While We Stand, I can like a unit of 3 Talos is quite tough to remove. A unit of 6 Grotesques is quite tough to remove.
With your Talos, would you still play them if they lose Prophets of Flesh with a +1 involve?
It depends how they change rate and then if they get the new codex. And
if they only had a 5-up involve, would you still take 6?
No, I mean, yeah. If they didn't have the 4-up invol, they wouldn't be as good. Like they're definitely not. But it depends what else they get instead of Prophets of Flesh. Like so rules as they currently are, I can't speculate on the new codex because no one knows what that's like apart from a few people. But I think if I was to go proper try-hard mode with Dark Elder right now, if I had the chance, I think you would see big 20-man blobs of racks. I think you would see Reavers in like 10-man blobs because they're just like
12 Venoms.
See 12 Venoms, maybe not. You could, but I don't think they do very much. I think you'd be better off spending points on racks because they're just so durable for what they cost. And the ability with Prophets of Flesh to recycle them is just insanely powerful. There were a few other changes to like beast packs, but it doesn't make them good. The Scourge change I discussed, and that was interesting. Mandrakes went down a little bit by like 2 points a model. They were already pretty good. Incubi stayed the same. Ravagers went down by 5 points, so they got a little bit better. But that's about it. Yeah, so I think 20-man blobs of Prophets of Flesh racks, Prophets of Flesh Talos, Prophets of Flesh Grotesques. It's really just swinging on Prophets of Flesh, to be honest, because you need that durability in this game, and you can't get it anywhere better than with Prophets.
Yeah.
But I do think that with the change to bring it down, I do think Venom Spam style lists, like Venom Spam Carbolite lists, get better because they don't give away as many secondaries. But they're no better at scoring secondaries. So I think Dark Elder get a lot better. I think they kind of won this FAQ in point drops. But I do feel like it's just GW kind of giving Dark Elder something because they can't give them their codex yet. I expect there won't be
more of a preview.
Yeah, I think this will be quite similar to how the units are costed in the codex, apart from the Reaver jet bike. Yeah, I think the Reaver jet.
I know why they've done it because they've got a warehouse just full of Reaver jet bikes.
Everyone I've spoken to is like, yeah, I've got 36 of them. So, yeah.
Right, shall we call it there, or?
Yeah.
Well, there is one thing that I want to say to everybody listening. So obviously, we're living in time of a pandemic. Stay at home, stay safe, and do as the Australians have done. They completely nailed the whole COVID thing, and I think it's next month or the following month. They've got 100-man tournament happening over in Australia.
Aren't they back in lockdown?
What, Australia? They've just completely shut the borders and said, right, nobody's going anywhere.
I think New Zealand's gone back to like just normal now.
Yeah, essentially they are like almost normal. So, you know, if everybody just stops being idiots and just going out for jollies or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a good choice of words there, because I know you want to say something else.
I was going to say something else. I want to say something else, but I'm not allowed to say that word on the stream. To quote Billy Butcher,
It's just a race. It's just a race now.
Yeah.
It's just a race now between the vaccinations and the virus, isn't it? It's just kind of.
I feel like it's just
pretty
throw
fair
the
with
kitchen
it.
sink.
Yeah.
Throw the kitchen sink as many vaccinations as you can.
Yeah. Going back to Warhammer a little bit, I forgot to mention one of the other things that makes Dark Elder, but also other units a bit better, is they clarified that bomber units that drop a bomb in the movement phase can fly off the board and still drop their bomb.
ooh,
Yeah,
that's
it's ending their movement in
Yeah.
table.
They can, so they move, they end their movement on the table edge, drop their bomb, and then they go off the table. So you can drop the bomb as you fly over something and off the table, which makes Void Raven bombers better, and any other unit that drops a bomb. So
You got that Death Watch score.
yeah. So, but yeah, going back to I remember that because I just looked at the Void Raven bomber on my shelf. So thought I'd mention that. But yeah, just stay safe, everyone. We're going into the end game now. The virus is clinging on with its last remaining claws and mutations that it's doing. But this time next year, we'll be looking back and thinking, well, that was rubbish.
yeah.
That was crap.
Follow the rules. Hands, face, space.
So it's always really weird with like that because I still got to go to work every day. Like so.
Yeah, same.
I've now been told that I'm furloughed anyway.
Are you furloughed now? Yeah.
Yeah, only the numbers for next week look rubbish.
No, I still got to go to the hospital, obviously. So.
Yeah.
How's hospital?
Yeah, it's fine, mate. I can't give you like numbers or anything, but
That's fair enough. Yeah.
I know that it's busy. It's the worst it's been throughout this whole process. It's almost twice what it was in March, and it's probably going to get worse because they're even having some of the hospitals up country having to move patients around in order to have space for them. So I can't really sugarcoat it. It's bad. Which makes what Paddy said even more relevant. Like, just like stay at home. And if you get the opportunity to have the vaccine, have it. Vaccinations aren't for you. They're for everyone you come into contact with. That's what a vaccine's for. It's not for you. It's for everyone you come into contact with. All your friends, your family, your loved ones, strangers you walk past on the street or on the bus. That's what a vaccine stops. So when they start rolling out the mass vaccination centres, which is coming in the next week or two, then just go and get it done. It's one jab. Well, I think it's two jabs actually, and you're done, and then you're protected, and you protect everyone that you come into contact with as well. So,
speaking from personal experience of having it, it's fucking horrible.
No, yeah, you had it, didn't you, mate? Yeah. I forgot that.
Bad.
I remember that.
We
had a
didn't have it.
and everything.
Very
when you
lucky
first,
not to have it.
oh, it was before the channel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it before the channel? Yeah.
No, early days of it.
I'm just checking. I've got my McAfee antivirus on my computer.
Even bonus to it was never 2 weeks off work paid.
You literally played a game. We literally played a game, and then you
Night before.
messaged me in the morning. Oh, I got a fever, and I was like, "Nah, you're right, mate. Just go get a test." A couple of days later, positive. I was like, What window you been licking? Where have you been? You don't go anywhere. Like the only bloke I know doesn't generally don't go anywhere apart from work.
Yeah.
Just cope.
Cool.
Cool, right, should we call it there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's episode 1 of What's On. Done. Bugle back reps.
What's on? I love it.
What's on?
What's wrong?
What's wrong?
For those of you who are Cornish and don't understand what What's On is, it's What's On.
What's wrong?
What that meant?
Yeah. Cheers, guys, for all coming on, doing this.
Yeah,
Sure,
it's
we'll
cool.
have many more to come as
Alright.
well during this period.
Everyone stay safe.
So you know what I say now.
Cheers and gone.
Go on.
Here you go.
So that's it for this week, guys. Hope you all enjoyed this content and didn't get bored too much. Let us know in the comments what you think about the FAQ. And join in next week. We have a brand new video for What's On number 2. Season 1.